Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about rods. Everyone has their favorite rods. I like Denali, that's my favorite. But everyone has this, or I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people have this feeling like they have to have a bunch of different rods for every single type of technique. And while that's great, I mean, if you got the money for that, hey, you can go for it. I don't have that kind of money for everything. So I do have different rods for different techniques, that's for sure, but I try to keep the same kind of rod for multiple techniques. So we'll say like the same rod that I'd use to throw smaller swim baits, like, well, it's not really a swim bait, but you can kind of say it is. A grub, a half-ounce spinner bait, half-ounce swim bait, to cast a jig or worm, any of those kinds of things. I like to use the same kind of rod, and the ones that I like that Denali makes are they are a technique-specific rod, but I use them as a multi-purpose. They're their worm and jig rods, and you'll find this in many of their lineups between the coverts and the lithiums and so on and so forth. So you can find one that fits your price range. Obviously, as you keep going up in the price, the components and the quality of the graphite and the blank gets better and better. But the first one I wanted to show you guys is this is the Covert Light that I have here. And then this is a 7'2" medium heavy. I like to stay in that 7 foot to 7'4" range for a multi-purpose rod. I'll use this same rod to skip a frog under docks, fishing a frog around not matted vegetation, but sparse, open stuff. I'll use it to fish a buzzbait, a spinnerbait. I've got a jig on here now that I was casting today while I was out fishing. This is just actually a half-ounce flipping jig, but you could use a casting jig. I had a football jig on here before I broke it off. I've used the same rod to flip, skip jigs under docks. I use it to fish topwaters like spooks, walking baits, things like that. It's a very, very multi-purpose rod. Like I said, I use it to fish spinnerbaits. I use it to fish flukes as well. I like a stiff rod. So this medium heavy, it loads well, but it's got a very good backbone, so it doesn't bend like a ton, I guess I should say. Like a lot of medium heavies kind of turn out to be more like a medium, I'd say. So then this other rod isn't truly a worm and jig rod. Honestly, this is actually, if you look at the ATAX, the Denali ATAX Mississippi River series that they just released, this is their swim jig rod. But to me, it fits very well in the worm and jig rod category, just by the way it works. I couldn't really tell you what the true power is. I mean, there's some serial numbers on here that if I knew rods, I could tell you, but I don't. I just pick up rods, I go fishing, just like you guys do. But this one's a medium heavy and a 7'2". It's got wind grips, so it's a little more sticky to your hand. Some people love wind grips, some people don't. I'm new to the wind grip game, and man, I like it. I really, really like it. I do. The skeleton grip makes it a little more sensitive. If you're like me, you kind of palm the reel, so you feel it a little. You feel the bites in the rod. That's what I'm trying to say. You feel the little thumps, all that neat stuff. But you can see on this one, I was fishing a spinnerbait today. Made to fish a swim jig, but you can do a lot of things with it. This one, to me, it felt a little more, had a little more tip to it, so a little more spring in the tip, but it became more stiff further down the rod. So not quite, I don't want to say parabolic bend, but doesn't have quite the bend that the worm and jig rods do. But it's still very, very similar. Like I said, this one's a 7'2". I can see myself using this one a lot. Now, here's what I really like about it. The ATAC series are, I want to say, right about $120. So really not too expensive as far as fishing rods today go. Fishing's pricey. It's just, I'm sorry, it's how it is. I don't like it either. But as far as rods go, $120 really isn't that bad. And this is a great, great rod. You can get a very good rod, 120 bucks, not bad at all. And then the Covert Lights, I want to say are 150. Like I said, you start to get a little bit better in the graphite, all that kind of stuff, the blanks. but still a very good rod and not that expensive. I know guys that are out there using all the really high priced, really high end stuff, and you can do that if you want, but I can't say I've ever caught more fish because I was using a $400 rod, you know what I mean? So, but hey, you do you, boo-boo. I like these. I think you guys should give them a try. Just want you guys to get a little different feel for different rods you can use. You don't have to have a ton of different rods. You can use some of the same rods for the same thing. And where it really starts to help you out is you are used to said rod, so you guys probably had this issue where you pick up, you got your spinnerbait on your spinnerbait special rod. This is the rod I only throw a spinnerbait on. And you get to where you're casting that, and you're like, man, I'm good at this. I'm like, I belong on tour. I am casting this like a pro. Then you pick up your jig rod, and you fire that jig out there, and you get a big bird nest. A lot of times it's because, your reel is different, but a lot of times it's because your rod's different. Your length is a little different, or it's a little stiffer, and so the rod doesn't load the same. Those are just things you want to take into account. So that's about all I got, guys. Check them out. Drop some comments below. Tell me what you think.